UN is warning that Gaza is on the brink of the abyss as fuel supplies are rapidly running dry and its hospitals are out of power and they urgently need medical supplies. This morning, there was still confusion over the status of the key Rafah crossing from Gaza into Egypt. Despite Mr Blinken saying an accord had been reached with Israel to allow Palestinians to flee, the UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has designated opening the crossing a priority. And I want to emphasise to you again, we are going to take Rishi Sunak live on this show in about 20 minutes' time as he stands before the Commons. Keir Starmer will respond to it. It's a massive speech that, ahead of the longer-awaited invasion of Gaza by the Israelis through air, land and sea, it will be fascinating to see where he stands, where Rishi Sunak stands on all of this. I'm going to go now to Tel Aviv and speak with GB News reporter Charlie Peters. Charlie, thank you very, very much. Great to have you on the show. Could you just tell us a little bit about what's going on where you are there and also clear up some confusion about this border crossing, please?
Yeah, sure. It's been a very kinetic 30 minutes here in Tel Aviv as rocket attacks in central Israel came above us about 30 minutes ago. I'm at the medical centre here in the east of the city, and we all were evacuated about half an hour ago. But also rockets targeted Jerusalem for the first time since this war started. Some moderate shrapnel was seen in the southwest of this location, about 4 miles away from where we are. The situation in the south, in the Gaza Strip, we know that the Rafah border crossing between Egypt and Gaza has remained closed. However, the US are hopeful that it will reopen, and they said so 2 hours ago. A spokesperson in Cairo reaffirming that they are hoping that it will open at some point this afternoon. But so far, no good news has come from the south. At the same time, in Gaza City, the UN said that some of its fuel trucks had been taken from its facility in the north. We don't know who did that, but that report's just come in the last hour. There's a realistic possibility that that was taken by Hamas in the north as they seek to use those fuel supplies for their own ends. But there's also been further extremely troubling developments in the north where more artillery fire has gone from northern Israel into southern Lebanon as the Israeli war cabinet says, do not test us to Iran. Iran, of course, has been saber-rattling extensively over the last 3 days, in particular with its foreign minister meeting with the leader of Lebanese Hezbollah, that terrorist organization, that more volatile and violent terrorist organization in Lebanon with greater capabilities than Hamas, really reaffirming the support of the Tehran regime towards its proxies in the region, and in particular to Lebanese Hezbollah fighters who are engaging with the IDF in southern Lebanon and northern Israel. So this is a situation that's very tense on a humanitarian basis and escalating in terms of the military situation in the north.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to go to a defence analyst shortly just to try to build that picture as to whether or not this is going to escalate. What is the potential for escalation? Again, I want to emphasise we're going to be hearing from our Prime Minister Rishi Sunak in about 15 minutes' time, live in the House of Commons. So that really should set Britain's stall out, I think, when it comes to that. But Charlie, it does look as though Israel might end up fighting a war on 2, possibly 3 fronts, depending on how other nations decide to react to this potentially quite imminent land, sea and air invasion of Gaza.
That's right, and the escalation in the north has been extensive. We saw last night fighter jets heading north and helicopter gunships, Apaches, the same ones that the British Army use, buzzing up the coastline on Tel Aviv as they likely headed to engage targets of Hezbollah in the south of Lebanon. And that front in this war is definitely becoming more kinetic, more engaged, and casualties are being endured on both sides. Military outposts are being hit by rockets from Hezbollah, and Lebanese Hezbollah outposts are also being struck by artillery and gunships from the IDF side. There is also growing concern about the situation in the West Bank, where hundreds of alleged Hamas terrorists have been arrested by the Israeli authorities in the last 24 hours. The IDF released some footage this morning of weapons that they'd captured from those alleged Hamas terrorists this morning, and it's quite an impressive collection of ammunition and bombs, and potentially also some rifles. So a very, very dangerous situation brewing in the West Bank as well, as at the same time the IDF is striking in Syria, knocking out those runways in Aleppo once again. It's fighting on so many fronts here, and on all of them, the situation is worsening.
Absolutely. Charlie, thank you very much. Charlie Peters there, GB News reporter.